In Revit, once you draw any wall, XP please focus. I have a wall, fine. Let's create any one. This is the wall. Now I will make it the stone structured wall. Who can tell me what is the structure that I'm going to create? What are the layers?
Is core.
Voice.
The core.
The core.
The core of the wall, which is concrete.
Concrete.
And the external would be stone.
The exterior finish is stone. Yes.
Inside would be
Air gap inside.
After that,
Brickwork.
After that,
The finishing, which is maybe plaster and paint, maybe gypsum board and paint, according to your design. Perfect. So now you have to click on the wall that you are converting the type. Click on edit type here in the properties palette, and then access to duplicate. Duplicate enables you to create a new type and give it a new name. And you have a rule and instruction for that name. It should be descriptive. Don't use wall 01. Don't use exterior wall and that's it. You have to give it, for me, you have to give the function, you have to give the material, which is the core material, or let's say the most important material of the wall, and you have to give the thickness. That's the minimum naming procedure. Okay? So I will name it exterior. Now it's already exterior. I'll keep it like this. Then I will name it stone finished. Okay? Dash. And I will give it the thickness. Now I don't know what is the exact thickness, so I will give any number and then I will change it. Fine? Millimeter. Just click OK. Now you have the new type. Under this type, just click on edit inside the structure. Now you are in the field of structure. You have to change the layers of this assembly. Fine. What do I have? I have only one single material. What do I need? Maybe I need 5. We have said that these are the 2 boundary lines. Our wall have one single boundary material. Core material, right? Which is concrete. Inside this structure or edit assembly box, you have more than one column to deal with. The first one is the function of your material or the function of your layer. What is the function? Let's see what are the options. If you open this drop down menu, you have structure 1, you have substrate 2, you have thermal 3, which is the insulation, you have finish 1 number 4, you have finish 2 number 5, and you have a membrane layer. What are these options? We are just saying a blah blah right now, right? These materials are arranged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and membrane layer according to the priority of cutting and the priority of strength of that material. Which means if you are using a structural material in the wall and another wall is intersecting with this one, if it has a structural material also, the structure of this wall will connect with the structure of that one, and we will see that. Okay, the finishes, for example, are weak. They will not cut the structure and pass through the wall and go from the other side, and we will see that on this board. Fine. It automatically do the joints, so that these options are used to consider the joints according to these priorities. Okay. The thing that I can tell you now, inside the boundary, just use the structural material minimum. Okay? And the other column is the material. I have just told you before the break that you have to assign a material. The material in Revit, it's a combination of more than one option, and it's like a book of information. Okay? It has too many information. Let's see how. Just click on this small option button. You will have this box. I will remind you about AutoCAD and 3ds Max. In AutoCAD, when you are talking about materials, so you are talking about the hatches and the elevation lines or the elevation hatches or the elevation material, right? So it's a cut hatch. When you cut the wall, you can see it in AutoCAD, right? And you are talking about what? About the surface hatch, which is in the section or in the elevation. You can see it from the view. Fine. So it's the graphics options. Graphic options, it's like the hatches. What do you want to see when you cut the object? What do you want to see if you are viewing it from an elevation view? Fine. So the cut pattern, it appears when you are
This is the cross section.
talking about the plan or the cross section, the cut objects. The surface pattern, it's talking about the objects that are being viewed from an elevation. Like the tiling, when you are talking about the plan, the tiling is a surface pattern. When you are talking in section, that wall is a surface pattern also. When you are talking in elevations, elevations are only about surface patterns. In the site plan, we are talking only about also surface patterns. Fine? So this panel is used for the documentation purposes. Plans, sections, elevations, and let's say documentation. Fine? This panel is used for the, let's say, the information. Virtual information. You can add name, you can add descriptive information like description, classification, any comments you need, keywords to look for your materials, product information like the manufacturer, what is the product, what is the cost, and if you have a link. Now we are talking about BIM concept. You are not just drawing lines, you are giving information. Fine? It's the most important part. You are giving information. The last part about the identity is the annotation information, and we will go through it in some of our classes, which is keynote. When you are talking about specification, and the mark, it will appear in some areas like tags and other things. Fine? This is about the identity. So now I have two panels or two options, two set of options combined inside the materials until now in Revit. The third one is the appearance. Now I am talking about the render engine in 3ds Max. You know, in 3ds Max, when you finish your modeling phase, you want to go through the materials, the mapping, the, let's say, the properties of that material. You want it reflective, you want it with the glossiness, you want it with the bump, blah, 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 blah. Fine? And then you are going to render. The final image that you have from 3ds Max is the appearance of your materials. So now it's combined out of two sets. The first one is the documentation programs, which is graphics. The second one is the production programs, the rendering, which is the appearance. Fine? And I will go through these three panels through my course. Then you have some physical information. It's used for analysis and it's used for some purposes, and the thermal information which describes your material and some physical information. Fine? Today we are going to deal with this one and this one. Any questions, guys? Okay, let's close it now. So the first column is the function, and it includes the priority of your material and the strength of cutting of your materials. The second column is the material itself. How does it look? What are the information about the material? How is the appearance of your material? And so on. The third part is the thickness of your layer, and it's very important. These options, let's say, should have thickness always. You can't just assign a layer and does not include a number here. It always says you have only one type of functions that could be zero layer, which is the membrane layer, because it's a very small thickness. Like the membrane sheets in the slab, it's only maybe 2 millimeters. So it does not, it should not, be drawn, or it should not have a thickness. Fine, guys, let's cancel it. I'll make it 0.1, for example. Perhaps I will talk about it later. Structural material, you should specify what is the structural material in your wall. Any questions until now?
If we are going to check this structural material,
You should at least check one. You will have many layers, you will check one.
Regarding the finish, there is finish 1 and finish 2. Which one do you use for internal and
It's not like what is the interior and external. It's not this way. It's what is stronger, which will cut whom. Fine, and we will have these issues now. It's a good question, by the way. Okay, guys, let's go on and create our type. Okay, please stay focused. The first layer I'm adding is the structural layer, which is concrete. It was concrete in our side, right? So I will make it like 0.2 meters, then I will go through the material. The first thing that you have a set of materials, it's already prepared for you. You have the material, you have the appearance, you have the cut pattern, you have the identity, you have everything there. Fine? The second thing, that you have the ability to create your own material. Fine? So if you are creating, for example, plaster, if you type plaster, you have it, and you have the cut pattern for it. If you don't want to use this one, sometimes, or most of architects usually create their own materials. Fine? If you don't have a prepared template from your company, you will always create your materials. Let's see how can I create my material. I will just click on this small icon. Fine? I'll choose create a new material. I have the second object, duplicate the selected material, but I don't want to create a copy from the material. I'll create from scratch. Fine? Now I will go to identity. The first thing, I would give it a name. I will name it concrete. But usually you have concrete in the library, concrete. Okay, but I will name it concrete 01. Or concrete core wall. But it does not work this way. Fine? We don't usually name the material according to the location inside the wall. Some people do that, but I don't. Okay, guys? So I will give it a specific name, and it should be descriptive. Don't just write AAA or BBB. Give it a name like concrete, reinforced concrete, wood, whatever you need. Fine? You can just give a description. Maybe you want to give that it's, for example, 1 to 3 concrete to sand, for example. Okay? Whatever you need to see in the description, you can write it here. What is the classification? You can give it the classification concrete. Here inside the comments, any comment you want. Sometimes you are working in a team project, and you want to send some comments to Imad, and Imad have to read it and reconsider that inside the project. Fine? So any comment you need, you can add it here. Keywords, you can add like when you are posting on YouTube, for example, or on Facebook, you have tags. Fine, so you can add some keywords, so when I want to look for your material, I can read what are the keywords, so I can use them for the browsing. Fine? Product information, it's very obvious. Manufacturer, model, cost, URL. If you have a supplier, you will have this information. If you are the supplier, you know this information. If you have a prepared material, so you will always have the information. You can fill them here. Fine? Then you will have the keynote and mark. I will talk about them later. Let's go to graphics. Inside the graphics, I have 3 categories. Shading, surface pattern, cut pattern. For your purposes, what is the most important one out of these 3? Yes. Surface, cut. What do you say?
This is
Cut.
which material?
For any material. Let's say your opinions. What's your name? Aris, yes. What's the most important category? Shading, surface pattern, cut pattern. Or let's say not the most important, the mostly used one. What do you think? The cut pattern. Cut. Surface. Cut pattern. Who says cut? Raise your hands, please. I say cut also. Okay. We usually use cut pattern because it's in the plan, it's in the section. And let me ask you something. When do you need to show the surface pattern? Elevation. What is the material that needs a surface pattern? The most important material to show the surface pattern, okay, it's the finish, but what type of finishes? No, curtain wall is something else. I will talk about it. The stone, which has the rose, the block work has a rose. That are the two materials that you need to show the surface pattern. But you are not showing the plaster surface pattern when you are submitting. Usually you don't show that. Fine? That's why the cut pattern is most important or more important. Fine? The shading is how does this material appear when you click here on this option and have the display option under shading. Not realistic, not hidden lines, not wireframe. It's a shading view. So how should your material appear? Now it's gray. And we don't usually pay attention for this option. If you want, you can change the color. You can change the transparency of the object. If you increase this transparency, so your wall will have some opacity. Okay, some opacity values you can see through. Fine? Okay, I don't need this. I will go through the cut pattern. Then we will go back to the surface. We are using concrete now, right? We will have this hatch. If you don't have it here, you don't have a create a new now. You can create, but I don't want to say it now. You can import some hatches files. How? We will say it in the next class. No, it's not families. It's like the hatches file for AutoCAD. When you have hatches file, you have new hatches. Here is also the same. Just choose your hatch and click OK. Now you have the material. Choose the color. Usually we choose black colors and click OK. I will not access to appearance today. I am gonna click OK directly. Now I have the material ready. Fine? Fine, guys? Any questions? It's the core material. Now I need to add others and I will be faster now, okay? Click insert. Now I want to move this out of the boundary. Usually and always exterior side is above, interior side is down, okay, is below. If you want to move it up, just click on up. If you want to move this layer down, click on down. If you want to delete it, you have the option. So I will move it up. Now the exterior finish, I will give it a finish option. I have finish 4 and I have finish 5. How can I know if it's finish 4 or finish 5? I will postpone this until I have some walls intersecting together. I will tell you the difference, okay? But to let you know, finish 4 is usually stronger than finish 5 and it will cut it whenever they meet. Fine? Let's make it finish 4 for example. Now I have to give a stone hatch. By default, in the Revit library, you don't have a stone hatch. Later on, I will teach you how to insert the stone hatch inside Revit and how to import any hatch which is not included here. Okay, let's create a new material. Identity. What's the name? Stone. Fine. Now, under graphics, I will choose now any hatch, okay? Let's choose this one, not a brick. Let's get this one, okay? And click OK. I will make it blue. I will change it to solid so you can see it, okay? OK and OK. It's very easy. I will give it a thickness out of 0.05 and then I will insert and go down. Fine. Here I will have thermal air layer. I will not assign any material, or I can assign a material without any hatch because it's a gap and there is no hatch for the air gap. Fine. I will keep it as it is and I will give it a thickness out of 0.03. I will insert a new material and move it down. Now I can make it a finish or I can make it a substrate, a helper object. Fine. Now I want to access here. I have the brickwork prepared for me. I can click brick. I will have it now. I can select any one of them. But for teaching purposes, I will create it again. Okay? Again, create a new material. I will name it brickwork or brick only. Graphics, I will choose the brickwork hatch. Click OK, and I'm gonna select, let's say, this thread. Okay? I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna give it like 0.15, for example. Now I need one additional layer, which is the finish. Let's make it finish 5. It's a plaster, right? We are creating a new material, naming it plaster 0.01, for example. Plaster 0.01, because I have plaster name. Then I'm gonna click on concrete. Okay, make it also red. So now I can differentiate between the outside it's blue, inside it's red. Okay, just click OK. Now I have all the materials, but I need to give it a thickness. Once I finish all the materials and layers, now I have the thickness prepared for me, which is 0.46. Fine, guys. I'm gonna click OK now. It says layer 5 where it is cannot ascend from the core boundary to the finish face. There is something wrong here. It's a structure here. 0.03. Okay, sometimes the tab does not allow me to create the option, but I will not dive inside the problem now because I don't want to say many information. Let's cancel it. I'll cancel it, and I'll have a generic option. Okay, or any other one. Let's get this one. Now I can't change anything here. Okay, I'll make it faster now so we can finish. It's a concrete, right? This concrete, I'll make it black. I'm gonna make it hatch concrete. I'm gonna click OK. Identity, it's concrete. OK. Now I can make it 0.2. I can make it here. Let's have any hatch for the stone. Click OK, and then OK here. 0.05. Finish 5. I will make this one thermal. Make this one. I have air, by the way, here prepared for me also. I'm gonna click OK. Make it 0.03. Insert. Go down. Make this one finish 4, for example. Click brickwork. Fine. I'm gonna click OK. Sorry, we have to make it red again. OK and OK. Then I'm going to insert. Go down. I'm gonna make it finish 5. I'm gonna make it 0.03, and this one 0.15. Yes, it's 0.46, and I'm gonna make this plaster. And this one, I'm gonna click OK. Fine. Now I have it. I can create a preview here or see a preview here. This is my wall. If it's correct, I can just click OK. Now I have it in my viewport. Now make sure, guys, that you have the fine view here, fine detail view. If you have it coarse, you will not see the settings that you have just created. Why? Because once you select your wall and just edit type, you have an option for the course level separate. We consider course level as a conceptual view. So usually we click here, we make it solid hatch, and we make it black. If you remember, when you work on a conceptual phase, you keep all the hatches black. Okay, now I have it black. Once I change this view level of details from coarse to medium, for example, now I see this. If I change it from medium to fine, I will see this again. What's going on now about the boundary and the finishes and the structures? I have this wall and this one, okay? This wall and this one. Let's delete this one. Okay, this is the boundary, sorry, the material inside the boundary of the core, and this is the core also. Now once I select this and extend this to intersect with that wall, the boundary and the structure will connect. The material, this one is finish 4 or 5, I don't remember, but once it cuts, so it's 4. This one is 5 because it couldn't cut this one. Fine. This one is finish 4, for example, because it also cutted this one towards the boundary. Okay guys, and you can see that it automatically joins the materials together. The same materials always joins together. If you remember, it was a very big deal in AutoCAD. You usually draw, you trim, you hatch. Sometimes the hatches does not work. Sometimes the trims does not work. You have different levels of the lines, blah, 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 blah. All that headache is finished now, and you have this option now, and it works in all the types of materials. If you select this wall, create similar, you intersect with this one, join, it automatically does the join, but if does not, you can do it manually. Okay? It's only about 2 clicks. In AutoCAD, you need to trim all the lines, then you can chamfer all the lines or fill it with 0 radius. You have to hatch inside, and so on. Fine? Understand that well, guys? Okay, I want you to do that